The spotlight burned hotter than I expected, searing my skin as I stumbled mid-spin, my ankle twisting beneath me. The crowd's gasp echoed through the packed theater in Chicago's Loop, a collective inhale that drowned out the pulsing beat of the music. My heart pounded, not from the dance, but from the sight of him. Elliott Kane, standing in the wings, his hazel eyes locked on me, unreadable yet piercing. I'd seen him before, a shadow at every performance this week, but tonight his presence felt like a storm about to break. As I hit the stage floor, the sequins of my costume catching the light like scattered stars, I knew this fall wasn't just a misstep, it was the start of something I couldn't control. I'm Jasper Cole, 27, a dancer scraping by in Chicago's cutthroat art scene. That night at the Harris Theater, I was performing in a modern dance piece, Fractured Light, a grueling show about identity and desire that left me bare, physically and emotionally, every night. My life was a tangle of late-night rehearsals, ramen dinners, and a cramped studio apartment in Wicker Park where the radiator hissed more than it heated. Dance was my escape, my truth, but it came with a price. Loneliness that clung like damp Chicago fog. Being a gay man in this city meant navigating a world of fleeting connections. Club hookups that fizzled by dawn and grinder chats that never left the screen. I craved something real, but reality kept slipping through my fingers. That morning it started rough. My landlord slid a rent increase notice under my door, and my phone buzzed with a text from my ex, Milo, begging for one last talk. I ignored it, but his words lingered like a bruise. By the time I got to the theater, my head was a mess. The choreographer, a wiry woman named Carla, barked at me for missing a cue in rehearsal. "Jasper, you're distracted. Get it together or you're out." Her threat wasn't empty. This gig was my lifeline. I pushed through, channeling my chaos into the performance, until that fall shattered everything. As the music faded and the curtain dropped, I limped backstage, pain shooting up my ankle. The other dancers swarmed, offering ice and sympathy, but my eyes found Elliott again. He was older, maybe mid-30s, with a sharp jawline and a tailored blazer that screamed money. He didn't clap or cheer like the audience. He just watched, his gaze heavy with something I couldn't name. Curiosity, maybe, or hunger. Before I could process it, Carla stormed over, her face a mask of fury. "Jasper, what the hell was that? You just tanked the finale." She hissed, her voice low to avoid the crew's ears. "There's a scout here tonight, and you pull that?" My stomach dropped. A scout? For the national tour? I'd been chasing that dream for years. A chance to dance on bigger stages, to prove I was more than a small-town kid from Indiana who ran to Chicago to find himself. "I'm sorry, Carla. My ankle, save it," she snapped. "Get cleaned up. You're done for the night." Humiliation burned as I hobbled to the dressing room, the chatter of the other dancers fading behind me. I peeled off my costume, wincing as I examined my swollen ankle. It wasn't broken, but it'd keep me off the stage for days I couldn't afford. As I taped it up, a knock broke my spiral. The door cracked open, and there he was, Elliott Kane, holding a sleek black business card between his fingers. "Jasper Cole?" His voice was smooth, like whiskey over ice, with a faint southern drawl that didn't match his polished look. "I'm Elliott. I saw your performance." I froze, half expecting a lecture. "Yeah, well, I'm sure you saw the part where I ate the floor." He smiled, a small, knowing curve of his lips that sent a shiver down my spine. "I saw more than that. You got something raw, something real. I'm producing a project, a film about dancers, their lives, their truths. I want you in it." My breath caught. A film? This wasn't the scout Carla mentioned. This was something else entirely. "I'm not an actor," I said, wary. "And I don't even know you." "You don't need to act," he replied, stepping closer. The scent of his cologne, sandalwood and citrus, hit me, warm and dizzying. "You just need to be you. The camera will love you, Jasper. Trust me." I didn't trust him. Not yet. But that card in his hand, embossed with Kane Productions in gold, promised a way out of my crumbling life. I took it, my fingers brushing his, and a spark jumped between us. Not literal, but close. His eyes held mine a beat too long, and I felt it, a pull, dangerous and undeniable. Why me? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Because, he said, leaning in just enough to make my pulse race, you dance like you're telling a secret. I want to know what it is. He left without another word, the door clicking shut behind him. I stood there, card in hand, my ankle throbbing and my mind reeling. Who is this guy? A quick Google search later, I learned Elliott Kane was a rising name in indie film, known for gritty, emotional projects that won awards at Sundance and Cannes. But there were gaps, whispers of a scandal in L.A., a falling out with a big studio. Nothing concrete, just enough to make me uneasy. Back at my apartment, I couldn't shake him. His eyes, his voice, the way he'd seen me, not just my fall but me. I tossed the card onto my nightstand, next to a half-finished coffee and Milo's unanswered texts. Sleep didn't come easy. When it did, I dreamed of a stage bathed in moonlight, Elliott watching from the shadows, his hand outstretched. The next morning, I woke to a voicemail from an unknown number. Elliott's voice crackled through the static. Jasper, meet me at the Green Mill tonight, 8 p.m. We'll talk about the film. Don't overthink it, just come. The Green Mill, a legendary jazz club in Uptown, was the kind of place where secrets were spilled over martinis. I should have ignored it, focused on my ankle, my job. But something about him tugged at me, like a song I couldn't stop humming. By 7:30, I was outside the club, the neon sign casting a green glow over the sidewalk. My ankle ached, but I'd swapped my sneakers for boots and a leather jacket, hoping to look less like a broke dancer and more like someone who belonged. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette smoke and saxophone wails. Elliott was at a corner booth, nursing a drink, his shirt unbuttoned just enough to reveal a sliver of collarbone. My mouth went dry. Glad you came, he said, sliding a glass of bourbon my way. Sit. Let's talk. We talked for hours. About the film, a docudrama following dancers in Chicago's underground scene. About my life, my dreams, the way dance felt like breathing. He listened, really listened, his eyes never leaving mine. When he leaned in, his knee brushing mine under the table, my skin buzzed. It wasn't just attraction, it was a challenge, like he was daring me to step into his world. Then came the twist. As the band played a slow, sultry number, a man approached our booth. Tall, blonde, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Elliott, he said, voice sharp, didn't expect to see you here. Not after L.A. Elliott's jaw tightened, his easy charm vanishing. Ryan, this isn't the time. Ryan's gaze flicked to me, cold and assessing. New project, huh? Hope he knows what he's signing up for. He leaned in, voice low. Ask him about the last guy he discovered, Jasper. Might change your mind. He walked away, leaving a chill in the air. I turned to Elliott, my heart pounding. What was that about? Elliott sighed, running a hand through his hair. Old business. Nothing you need to worry about. But I was worried. The card, the film, the way my body reacted to him. It all felt too good, too fast. As the jazz swelled, I realized I was standing at a crossroads. Walk away, or dive into Elliott's world, secrets and all. The bourbon burned my throat as I set the glass down, the jazz at the Green Mill swelling into a frantic crescendo. Elliott's knee still brushed mine under the table, a deliberate anchor in the storm Ryan's words had unleashed. Asked him about the last guy he discovered. The warning echoed, sharp and cold, like a blade pressed to my ribs. I wanted to demand answers, to peel back Elliott's polished exterior, but his hazel eyes held me captive, part challenge, part plea. My ankle throbbed, a reminder of my fall at the Harris Theater, but the real pain was the uncertainty curling in my gut. I was Jasper Cole, a dancer teetering on the edge of ruin, and Elliott Kane was either my lifeline or my downfall. Chicago's nightlife pulsed outside the club, the L train rattling past as I tried to focus. My life was already a mess, rent I couldn't pay, an ex blowing up my phone, a dance career hanging by a thread. Elliott's offer, a role in his docudrama about dancers, dangled like a promise of salvation. But Ryan's cryptic jab hinted at a past I couldn't ignore. I leaned back, crossing my arms to create distance. Elliott, level with me. Who was Ryan talking about? What happened in L.A.? His jaw ticked, a flicker of something, guilt, anger, crossing his face before he smoothed it away. Ryan's an ex-colleague, he said, voice low. We worked together on a project that went south. He's bitter, that's all. Don't let him get in your head. That's not an answer. I pressed, my heart racing. He said I should ask about someone you discovered. What's the story? Elliot sighed, swirling his drink. There was a dancer, Caleb, in L.A. I cast him in a film. He was talented, magnetic like you. But he got in over his head, parties, bad influences. I tried to help, but he walked away. Ryan blames me for it. End of story. His words felt rehearsed, like a script he'd recited before. I wanted to believe him, but the air between us crackled with unspoken truths. Before I could push further, my phone buzzed. A text from Milo. Jasper, please. I miss you. Can we talk? I shoved the phone in my pocket, but Elliot noticed his eyes narrowing. Trouble? He asked, leaning closer. His cologne hit me again, dizzying, and I hated how it made my pulse jump. Just my ex, I muttered. He's persistent. Elliot's lips twitched, not quite a smile. Sounds like you've got a lot on your plate. My offer still stands, Jasper. The film could change things for you. Meet me tomorrow, my studio in River North. 3 p.m., bring your fire. He slid a napkin across the table with an address scrawled in sharp, slanted handwriting. Then he stood, tossing a few bills down for the drinks. Don't let the ghosts of my past scare you off, he said, his voice soft but weighted. You're stronger than that. He left me there, the jazz fading into a mournful sax solo. I gripped the napkin, torn between burning it and chasing after him. The Green Mill's dim lights cast shadows on the walls, mirroring the doubts in my head. I needed this gig. Money, exposure, a chance to be more than a starting artist. But Elliot's world felt like a maze, and I wasn't sure I'd find my way out. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming through my Wicker Park apartment's cracked blinds. My ankle was less swollen, but still tender, so I popped some ibuprofen and taped it up. The rent notice on my counter glared at me, a ticking clock. I couldn't afford to say no to Elliot, but I couldn't afford to be reckless either. I spent the morning digging online for more on him. Most articles praised his films, raw, emotional, boundary-pushing. But a few ex-posts hinted at drama, a lawsuit, a falling out, a dancer who'd disappear from the scene. Nothing solid, just enough to knot my stomach. By 2:30, I was on the L, heading to River North. The studio was in a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and floor-to-ceiling windows. When I stepped inside, the space hit me like a fever dream, tripods and lights scattered around, a sleek camera rig in one corner, and a small stage with a single spotlight. Elliot stood near a table covered in storyboards, his sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms dusted with dark hair. He looked up, and his smile was a spark to kindling. You came, he said, crossing the room. I wasn't sure you would. Almost didn't, I admitted, scanning the space. This place is intense. It's where the magic happens. He gestured to the stage. Want to see what I'm working on? He led me to the storyboards, sketches of dancers in motion, their faces blurred but their bodies alive with emotion. The film's called Pulse, he explained. It's about the underground dance scene. Clubs, street battles, the lives behind the moves. You'd be one of the leads, Jasper. Your story, your truth, on screen. My chest tightened. This was bigger than I'd imagined, a chance to show the world who I was. But Ryan's words lingered, and so did Milo's texts, a reminder of how easily things could unravel. What's the catch? I asked. There's always a catch. Elliot's eyes darkened, but he didn't look away. The catch is you have to be all in. No half measures. The camera sees everything, every fear, every desire. Can you handle that? His words felt like a dare, and I was never good at backing down. I can handle it, I said, stepping closer. The air between us hummed, his breath warm when he exhaled. For a moment, I thought he might close the gap, but a sharp knock broke the spell. The door swung open, and Ryan strode in, his blonde hair catching the light. My stomach lurched. Elliot, we need to talk, he said, ignoring me. Now. Not a good time, Elliot replied, his voice tight. Make a good time. Ryan's eyes flicked to me, cold and calculating. Unless you want a news star to hear about the NDA Caleb signed, or the money you paid to keep him quiet. The room tilted. Nadia, money? Elliot's face was a mask, but his hands clenched at his sides. Ryan, you're out of line. Am I? Ryan smirked, pulling out his phone. I've got emails, Elliot. Proof. You want to play savior with Jasper here, fine. But he deserves to know what he's walking into. I couldn't breathe. Elliot, what's he talking about? I demanded, my voice shaking. Elliot turned to me, his expression raw. Jasper, it's not what you think. Caleb got into trouble, and I helped him out. That's it. Ryan's twisting it to hurt me. Twisting it. Ryan laughed, bitter. Tell him about the hospital, Elliot. Tell him why Caleb left L.A. Hospital? My mind raced, piecing together fragments. Scandal, a dancer, a cover-up. I backed toward the door, my ankle protesting. I need air, I muttered, pushing past Ryan. Elliot called after me, but I didn't stop. The warehouse's walls felt like they were closing in, and I needed out. Outside, the Chicago River glittered under the afternoon sun, but I felt cold. My phone buzzed. Milo again. Jasper, I'm in Chicago. Can we meet? I'm at Millennium Park. I wanted to scream. Milo, Elliot, Ryan. It was too much, a collision of past and present I couldn't untangle. But Millennium Park was close, and maybe facing Milo would clear my head. I found him near the bean, his curly hair longer than I remembered, his eyes tired. Jasper, he said, stepping forward. You look different. You look the same, I replied, sharper than I meant. What do you want, Milo? I want you back, he said, voice breaking. I messed up, I know, but we were good together. His words hit like a punch, stirring memories of late-night talks, his laugh, the way he'd hold me. But then I remembered the lies, the cheating, the nights I cried alone. Milo, we're done, I said, turning away. That's when I saw Elliot standing across the plaza, watching us. His face was unreadable, but his presence was a magnet, pulling me back into his orbit. And behind him, Ryan lingered, phone in hand, filming. The bean's mirrored surface warped my reflection, stretching my face into something unrecognizable as I stood frozen in Millennium Park. Milo's plea, I want you back, hung in the air, raw and desperate, but my eyes were locked on Elliot across the plaza. His silhouette was sharp against the Chicago skyline, hazel eyes unreadable yet magnetic, pulling me like a tide. And there, lurking behind him, was Ryan, his phone raised, filming us like a vulture circling a kill. My heart slammed against my ribs. This wasn't just a coincidence. It was a trap, and I was caught in the crosshairs. I'm Jasper Cole, a 27-year-old dancer barely holding it together in Chicago. My life was a house of cards. Rent I couldn't pay, an ankle injury threatening my career, and now Elliot Kane, a filmmaker whose offer to star in his docudrama Pulse felt like a lifeline laced with danger. Ryan's bombshell about a dancer named Caleb, an NDA, and a hospital had shaken me, and seeing him now, recording this moment, turned my confusion into dread. Milo's presence only tightened the knot. I needed to move, to think, but the weight of their gazes pinned me in place. Jasper, please, Milo said, stepping closer, his hand grazing my arm. His touch was familiar, warm, but it carried the sting of betrayal. Just hear me out. I yanked my arm back, my voice low. Milo, I said we're done. Go home. I turned, my ankle protesting as I strode toward Elliot, the crowd parting like a curtain. Ryan's smirk grew as I approached, his phone still raised. I wanted to knock out of his hand, but I focused on Elliot instead. What the hell is this? I demanded, stopping inches from him. His cologne, sandalwood and citrus, hit me, stirring a heat I hated myself for feeling. Why is he filming us? Elliot's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. Ryan's trying to provoke me. Ignore him. Ignore him. I laughed, bitter. He's got dirt on you, Elliot. NDA's, hospitals, some guy named Caleb. And now he's got this on camera. Me, my ex, you. What's his game? Elliot glanced at Ryan, then back at me, his eyes softening. Jasper, I told you. Ryan's got a vendetta. He's using you to get to me. Let's get out of here. We'll talk, just us. I wanted to believe him, to drown in the promise of his voice, but Ryan's presence was a cold splash of reality. No, I said, stepping back. Not until you tell me the truth. All of it. Before Elliot could respond, Ryan sauntered over, pocketing his phone. Truth, huh? Careful what you wish for, Jasper. Ask him about the night Caleb overdosed. Ask why Elliot paid to keep it quiet. The word overdose hit like a punch. I stared at Elliot, searching for a denial, but his face was a mask, his silence deafening. The park's chatter faded, leaving only the thrum of my pulse. Elliot, I said, my voice shaking, is that true? He exhaled, running a hand through his hair. It's not that simple. Caleb was struggling, yes. I helped him get clean, got him into a program. The money was for his treatment, not a cover-up. Ryan's twisting it. Twisting it. Ryan scoffed. You're good at that, Kane. Tell him how you helped Caleb, right into a breakdown. Or should I show him the emails? Enough. Elliot snapped, his voice cutting through the air. Heads turned, tourists glancing our way. He grabbed my wrist, his grip firm, but not painful. Jasper, come with me. Please. I pulled free, my mind reeling. I need space, I muttered, turning toward the park's exit. Milo called after me, but I didn't look back. The city's noise. Horns, laughter, the clatter of the L swallowed me as I walked, my ankle throbbing with every step. I ended up at a dive bar in Logan Square, the kind of place where the jukebox played Springsteen and the bartenders didn't ask questions. I nursed a beer, Elliot's card burning a hole in my pocket. My phone stayed silent. No text from Milo, no calls from Elliot. Just me and my thoughts, spiraling. By midnight, I was back in my Wicker Park apartment, the radiator hissing like a snake. I couldn't sleep, so I did something reckless. I texted Elliot the bar's address and meet me. Now, I didn't expect him to show, but an hour later, there he was. Stepping into the dim light of the bar, his blazer swapped for a fitted black sweater that hugged his frame. My breath caught, and I cursed myself for it. You came, I said, sliding my empty glass aside. You asked, he replied, sitting across from me. His eyes searched mine, unguarded for once. I owe you the truth, Jasper. All of it. He told me about Caleb, a prodigy dancer he'd cast in a film 3 years ago. Caleb was charismatic, but fragile, battling addiction. Elliot tried to mentor him, but the pressure of the project and LA's scene pushed Caleb over the edge. He overdosed, survived, and Elliot paid for his rehab. Ryan was our producer, Elliot said, voice low. He wanted to exploit Caleb's story for publicity. I refused. He's been gunning for me ever since. I leaned back, processing. Why didn't you tell me this up front? Because I wanted you to trust me, he said, his hand inching toward mine on the table. And because I'm terrified of screwing this up. You're not just a dancer to me, Jasper. You're more. His words lit a spark in my chest, but I smothered it. You don't even know me. I know enough, he said, his voice husky. The way you move, the way you fight for what you want. I see you, Jasper. Let me prove I'm not the villain here. His hand brushed mine, and the contact sent a jolt through me, warm and dangerous. I pulled back, standing. I need time, Elliot. This is too much. He nodded, standing too, his height closing the space between us. Take all the time you need, but I'm not giving up on you. I left the bar, his words echoing as I walked home through Chicago's chilly streets. The next morning, I got a call from Carla, my choreographer. Jasper, the scout loved your raw energy, even with the fall. You're in for the national tour, if your ankle's ready. Rehearsals start next week. My heart soared. The tour was my dream, a chance to dance across the country. But Elliot's film lingered, a different kind of stage. I was torn, and the universe wasn't done with me yet. That afternoon, I got an email from an unknown address. Attached was a grainy photo of me and Elliot at the green mill, our knees touching under the table, his eyes locked on mine. The message read, choose wisely, Jasper. He'll ruin you too. Or my blood ran cold. Ryan wasn't just taunting Elliot. He was targeting me. I forwarded the email to Elliot, my fingers shaking. His reply came fast. Meet me at the studio. We'll handle this together. I arrived at the River North warehouse, the familiar hum of lights and cameras greeting me. Elliot was pacing, his usual calm frayed. "Ryan's crossed the line," he said, showing me his phone. "He sent this to my investors, claiming I'm distracted by you. He's trying to tank the film." I stared at the same photo, my face clear in the dim light. "What do we do?" I asked, my voice steady despite the panic. "We fight back," Elliot said, his eyes blazing. "But there's something else you need to know. Ryan's not working alone. Someone's feeding him info, someone close to you." My stomach dropped. "Who?" Before he could answer, the studio door burst open. Milo stood there, his face pale, eyes wide with guilt. "Jasper, I didn't mean for it to go this far," he stammered. "Ryan offered me money to keep tabs on you. I took it." The room spun. Milo, my ex, the man I'd once loved, had betrayed me. Elliot stepped forward, his hand on my shoulder, grounding me. But the real shock was Milo's next words. "There's more. Ryan's got footage from a night Caleb overdosed. He's going to leak it unless you drop the film." The air in Elliot's River North studio turned to ice as Milo's words sank in. "Ryan's got footage from the night Caleb overdosed. He's going to leak it unless you drop the film." My ex stood in the doorway, his curly hair disheveled, his eyes pleading for forgiveness I couldn't give. Betrayal burned in my chest, sharper than the ache in my injured ankle. "I'm Jasper Cole, a 27-year-old dancer caught in a web of secrets. Elliot's past, Ryan's vendetta, and now Milo's treachery." The studio's lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows on the tripods and cameras, mirroring the chaos in my head. Elliot's hand on my shoulder was the only thing keeping me from lunging at Milo and demanding answers. "Jasper, I swear, I didn't know it'd go this far," Milo stammered, stepping forward. His familiar cologne, cheap cedar, made my stomach churn. "Ryan said he just needed info, small stuff. I needed the cash." "Cash?" I spat, my voice trembling. "You sold me out, Milo. You watched me, fed him dirt, and now he's got footage that could ruin Elliot? What the hell were you thinking?" Milo flinched, his face crumpling. "I was thinking about us. About getting you back. Ryan promised he'd help me. Enough." Elliot cut in, his voice a low growl. He stepped between us, his frame taut with restrained fury. "Milo, you've done enough damage. Get out." Milo hesitated, his eyes darting to me. "Jasper, please go," I said, my voice flat. He turned and left, the door slamming behind him. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the distant hum of Chicago's streets. I sank onto a nearby stool, my hands shaking. Elliot knelt in front of me, his hazel eyes searching mine. "Jasper, I'm so sorry," he said, his voice softer now. "I should have seen this coming. Ryan's desperate, but I never thought he'd drag you into it like this." I looked at him, the man who'd stormed into my life with a film offer and a smile that made my pulse race. His sweater clung to his shoulders, and I hated how even now, in this mess, I noticed the way his jaw tensed, the faint stubble catching the light. "What's in that footage, Elliot?" I asked. "And don't give me half answers. I need to know what we're up against." He stood, pacing to the window where the Chicago River glittered under the city's glow. "The night Caleb overdosed, I found him at a club in L.A. He was out of it, barely conscious. I got him to a hospital, stayed until he stabilized. Ryan was there, filming, said it was for behind-the-scenes content. I thought I destroyed that footage. Clearly, I was wrong. My mind reeled. So Ryan's got video of Caleb at his lowest, and he's holding it over your head to kill Pulse? Why? What's his endgame?" Elliot turned, his expression grim. "Control. He wants me out of the industry. After L.A., I cut ties with him, exposed his shady tactics to our investors. He lost everything. This is his revenge." I rubbed my temples, the weight of it all pressing down. My shot at the National Dance Tour was days away, rehearsals looming, but Elliot's film, and the man himself, had me tangled in a way I couldn't shake. "We can't let him win," I said, standing despite the twinge in my ankle. "But how do we stop him?" Elliot's eyes lit up, a spark of defiance. "We beat him at his own game. We make Pulse undeniable, raw, honest, untouchable. and we find that footage before he leaks it. His passion was infectious, but doubt gnawed at me. And if we can't? If he releases it, then we face it, he said, stepping closer. His hand brushed my arm, warm and steady. Together. The word together hung between us, charged with possibility. I wanted to lean into him, to let his strength anchor me, but Milo's betrayal and Ryan's threat kept me guarded. I'm in, I said finally. But no more secrets, Elliot. Promise me. I promise, he said, his voice low, his gaze holding mine like a vow. For a moment, I thought he might kiss me, but he stepped back, breaking the spell. Let's start tonight. There's a lead I've got, a contact who might know where Ryan's keeping his files. That night, we headed to Boys Town, Chicago's vibrant gay neighborhood, where neon signs and thumping bass spilled from bars along Halsted Street. Elliot's contact was at Berlin, a legendary nightclub where drag queens and dancers ruled the floor. The air was thick with sweat and glitter, the music a pulsing heartbeat. I felt alive here, despite the chaos, my ankle loosening as I moved through the crowd. Elliot stayed close, his hand grazing my back to guide me, each touch sending a shiver down my spine. We found his contact, a wiry DJ named Leo, behind a booth. His neon green nails flashed as he adjusted the mixer. Elliot Kane, he said, grinning. Didn't expect you in my domain. Leo, I need a favor, Elliot said, leaning in to be heard over the music. Ryan Kessler. You hear anything about him storing sensitive files? Old footage, maybe? Leo's grin faded. Ryan's bad news, man. Word is he's got a cloud drive, encrypted, with dirt on half of LA's scene. Keeps it tight, but he's been bragging at underground parties. Try the vault. It's a speakeasy in West Loop. Shady types hang there. Might get a lead. Elliot slipped him a folded bill, and Leo winked at me. Watch this one cutie. He's trouble, but the good kind. I blushed, caught off guard, but Elliot's smirk made my stomach flip. As we left Berlin, the night air cooled my skin, but his presence kept me warm. The vault, I said. Sounds like a trap. Probably, he admitted, his eyes scanning the street. You don't have to come, Jasper. This is my mess. I'm already in too deep, I said, meeting his gaze. Let's do this. The vault was hidden behind an unmarked door in a West Loop alley, the kind of place you'd miss if you didn't know it was there. Inside, it was all velvet curtains and low lighting, the air heavy with cigar smoke and whispered deals. Elliot led me to a corner booth, his hand lingering on my waist a beat too long. We ordered drinks, whiskey for him, soda for me, since I needed a clear head. My eyes scanned the room, landing on a familiar face. Carla, my choreographer, sitting with a man in a suit, her expression tense. Carla, I muttered, nudging Elliot. What's she doing here? Before he could answer, the man with her stood, revealing a face I'd seen in Elliot's storyboards. Victor Ruiz, a rival producer known for poaching talent. Carla's eyes met mine, and she froze, guilt flashing across her face. My heart sank. Was she involved with Ryan's scheme? I started toward her, but Elliot grabbed my arm. Jasper, wait, too late. The room erupted as a figure burst through the back door. Ryan, flanked by two burly guys. He locked eyes with me, his smirk venomous. Well, he called, loud enough to draw stares. The dancer and the director chasing ghosts. You're out of your league. Elliot stepped in front of me, his voice deadly calm. Ryan, this ends now. Hand over the footage, or I go public with your dirty deals. Ryan laughed, pulling out his phone. Too late, Kane. Check your email. My phone buzzed, and I opened a new message from an anonymous sender. It was a video clip, not of Caleb, but of me, dancing alone in Elliot's studio, my movements raw and unguarded. The caption read, "This is just the start. Drop the film, or your boy's secrets go viral." My blood ran cold. That footage was private, filmed during a late-night session I thought was just for practice. Someone had been watching, recording. And then Ryan dropped the real bomb. Oh, and Jasper? Ask Elliot about the camera he hid in the studio. He's been playing you from the start. I turned to Elliot, my heart shattering. Is that true? His silence was answer enough. The vault's dim lights flickered casting Ryan's smirk in a sinister glow as his words echoed in my skull. Ask Elliot about the camera he hid in the studio. My heart pounded, each beat a hammer against my ribs. I stood frozen in the West Loop speakeasy, the smell of cigar smoke and whiskey choking me. Elliot's face, those hazel eyes I trusted, betrayed nothing, but his silence screamed guilt. The video of me dancing, raw and vulnerable, burned in my mind, a private moment weaponized. I'm Jasper Cole, a 27-year-old dancer drowning in Chicago's chaos, and the man I'd let into my world had just shattered it. Elliot, I said, my voice low, trembling with rage and hurt, did you film me? Without telling me. He stepped closer, his hands raised like he could calm the storm inside me. Jasper, it's not what you think. Then what is it? I snapped, backing away. The crowd's murmurs grew, eyes darting our way. Ryan stood smugly with his goons, savoring the chaos. You had a camera running, Elliot. You recorded me when I thought we were alone. How is that not exactly what it looks like? Elliot's jaw clenched, his voice urgent. I set up a motion sensor for test shots to capture raw movement for the film. I didn't mean to invade your privacy. I was going to tell you, but you didn't. I cut in, my chest tight. And now Ryan's got it. He's threatening to leak it, and you're standing here making excuses. Ryan laughed, a sharp, cruel sound. Oh, this is rich. Tell him the rest, Kane. Tell him how you've been editing that footage, crafting your little star into your next obsession. My stomach lurched. Obsession? I searched Elliot's face, desperate for a denial, but he looked away, his shoulders slumping. That was enough. I turned, shoving past Ryan's goons, ignoring the pain shooting through my ankle. The speakeasy's velvet curtains parted as I stumbled into the alley, the Chicago night biting my skin. I heard Elliot call my name, but I kept moving, the city's pulse drowning out everything. I ended up at Lake Michigan's edge, near Adler Planetarium, where the water lapped against the shore under a sky bruised with clouds. My phone buzzed. Milo, Carla, even a new email from Ryan with a still from the video, my body mid-spin, captioned, "One click and the world sees you." I turned it off, my breath hitching. I trusted Elliot, let his charm and promises pull me in, and now I was exposed, my dreams of the national dance tour and pulse teetering on a knife's edge. Worse, Carla's presence at the vault with Victor Ruiz, a rival producer, gnawed at me. Was she part of this too? I sat on a bench, the cold seeping through my jacket, until footsteps crunched behind me. Elliot, his black sweater blending with the night, stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. Jasper, please. Let me explain. I stood, my voice icy. You've had your chance. I trusted you, Elliot. I let you see me, really see me, and you betrayed that. He flinched, stepping closer. I messed up. The camera was for the film, to capture your talent unfiltered. I didn't think Ryan could access it. He must have hacked the studio's cloud drive. His voice softened, raw. I'm not obsessed with you, Jasper. I'm falling for you. That's why I've been so stupid about this. His words hit like a wave, warm and disorienting. Falling for me? My heart wanted to believe it, to sink into the heat of his gaze, but my head screamed caution. You don't get to say that now, I said, my voice cracking. Not when I don't know what's real anymore. He nodded, his eyes glistening in the moonlight. I'll fix this. I'll find the footage, shut Ryan down. But I need you to trust me one more time. I wanted to walk away, to protect what was left of me. But the national tour rehearsals were starting, and Pulse was still my shot at something bigger. I couldn't let Ryan destroy it. Or me. One chance, I said. But if you lie to me again, we're done. We agreed to meet the next day at a new location. A loft in Pilsen, a gritty arts district where Elliot had a backup editing suite. The loft was a maze of exposed beams and vintage film posters, the air thick with the scent of coffee and old vinyl. Elliot showed me the security logs from his studio, proving the camera was motion-activated, not deliberately hidden. Ryan's been planning this for months, he said, pointing to a hacked login from an IP address tied to a West Loop server. He's got help, someone with access to my systems. My mind flashed to Carla. My choreographer was at the vault with Victor Ruiz, I said. She looked guilty. Could she be involved? Elliot's eyes narrowed. Victor's been trying to poach my project for years. If Carla's working with him, she could have given Ryan access. He pulled up an email from Victor, sent weeks ago, hinting at a mutual interest in Pulse. We need to confront her. That afternoon, we tracked Carla to the Harris Theater, where the national tour rehearsals were underway. The stage was alive with dancers, their movements sharp under the lights. Carla stood in the wings, clipboard in hand, barking orders. Seeing her, my anger flared. She'd threatened to cut me after my fall, and now she might be sabotaging me. Carla, I called, striding toward her. She turned, her eyes widening as she saw Elliot. We need to talk. Now. She led us to a backstage office, her expression guarded. Jasper, you shouldn't be here. Your ankle? Forget my ankle, I said, crossing my arms. Why were you at the vault with Victor Ruiz? Are you feeding Ryan info on Elliot's film? Carla's face paled, but she recovered quickly. Victor's an old friend. We were discussing a side project. That's all. Bull, Elliot said, stepping forward. Victor's after Pulse. If you're helping him, you're helping Ryan ruin Jasper's shot. She sighed, setting down her clipboard. I'm not with Ryan. Victor offered me a gig directing a rival tour, but I turned him down. I saw him at the vault to tell him no. That's it. I wanted to believe her, but her fidgeting hands told another story. Before I could press, my phone buzzed with a new email from Ryan. This time, it wasn't a video. It was a contract signed by Elliot offering me a role in Pulse with a clause I hadn't seen. Subject agrees to personal footage for promotional use. My blood ran cold. Elliot, I said, shoving the phone at him. What's this? He scanned it, his face draining of color. This isn't the contract I gave you. Ryan must have forged it, added that clause. Carla's eyes darted between us, and then she bolted, knocking over a chair as she ran for the door. I lunged after her, my ankle screaming, but Elliot was faster, grabbing her arm. Carla, talk, he growled. What do you know? She yanked free, tears streaming down her face. I didn't want to hurt you, Jasper. Ryan blackmailed me, said he'd ruin my career if I didn't get him into your studio. I gave him the access code, but I didn't know he'd take it this far. The truth hit like a slap. Carla, my mentor, had opened the door to this nightmare. I staggered back, the room spinning. Elliot steadied me, his touch grounding but not enough to dull the pain. Why, Carla? I whispered. I was scared, she sobbed. Ryan's got connections. I couldn't lose everything. Elliot's phone rang, cutting through the tension. He answered, his face hardening. Ryan, he said, putting on speaker. What do you want? Ryan's voice crackled, smug. A trade, Kane. The footage of Caleb for your precious Pulse. Meet me at the old meatpacking plant in Fulton Market. Midnight. Bring Jasper. Oh, and one more thing. I've got a new player in the game. Say hi to Milo. The call ended, and my heart stopped. Milo was back, and he wasn't just a pawn. He was Ryan's ace, ready to burn us both. The echo of Ryan's voice, say hi to Milo, lingered like a bad dream as Elliot's phone went silent. The backstage office at the Harris Theater felt suffocating, Carla's tear-streaked face blurring in my vision. My chest burned with betrayal. First Milo, my ex, selling me out for cash. Then Carla, my mentor, handing Ryan the keys to Elliot's studio. Now Milo was back, not just a traitor, but Ryan's weapon, poised to destroy Pulse and everything I'd fought for. I'm Jasper Cole, a 27-year-old dancer teetering on the edge in Chicago, and the ground beneath me was crumbling faster than I could run. Elliot's hand rested on my shoulder, his touch warm but heavy with the weight of our mess. Jasper, we'll handle this, he said, his hazel eyes fierce. Ryan's playing D. Erdy, but we're not out yet. I pulled away, my ankle throbbing as I paced. Handle it? Milo's with him, Elliot. My ex, who knows every weak spot I've got. And you... I stopped, the forged contract flashing in my mind, its clause about personal footage and knife to my trust. You're still not telling me everything. How do I know there aren't more cameras, more lies? Elliot's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. I swore no more secrets, and I meant it. That contract was a fake. Ryan's trying to drive a wedge between us. As for Milo, he's a pawn. Ryan's the one pulling the strings. Carla sniffled, wiping her eyes. Jasper, I'm so sorry. I didn't know Ryan would save it. I snapped, my voice colder than I meant. You chose your career over me. I'm done with apologies. Elliot glanced at his watch. It's 9 p.m. We've got 3 hours until Ryan's meet at the meatpacking plant. We need a plan. The plan was risky. Show up, negotiate for the Caleb footage, and find a way to neutralize Ryan's leverage. But Milo's involvement changed everything. He knew me, my fears, my dreams, the way I'd crumble under the right pressure. I nodded, my stomach nodding. Let's do it. But if Milo's there, I'm handling him. We left Carla behind, her sobs fading as we stepped into Chicago's chilly night. The Fulton Market meatpacking plant was a relic, a hulking skeleton of brick and rusted steel, its windows dark as we approached at midnight. The air smelled of damp concrete and old grease, the distant hum of the city barely reaching this forgotten corner. My ankle ached, but adrenaline kept me sharp. Elliot carried a USB drive with dummy files, a decoy to trade if things went south. Inside, the plant was a maze of exposed pipes and flickering fluorescents. Ryan waited in a cleared space, flanked by his 2 goons, a laptop open on a crate beside him. Milo stood at his side, his eyes darting to me, guilt and defiance warring on his face. My heart twisted. He looked smaller than I remembered, his curls limp, his bravado a thin mask. Jasper, Ryan called, his smirk venomous. You brought the director. Good. Let's make a deal. Elliot stepped forward, his voice calm but edged. The footage of Caleb. Hand it over, and we walk away. No cops, no drama. Ryan laughed, tapping the laptop. You think I'm that easy? I've got Caleb's overdose, Jasper's little dance solo, and a few other gems. Drop Pulse, or it all goes online. Milo shifted, his voice shaky. Jasper, just listen to him. It's not worth. Shut up, Milo, I said, my fist clenching. You don't get to talk after what you did. Elliot held up the USB drive. We've got something you want. Proof of your shady deals in LA, tax evasion, bribes, the works. Trade, or we leak it. Ryan's smirk faltered, but he recovered fast. Goo, but I've got a better card. He turned the laptop, revealing a live feed, not of Caleb or me, but of Leo, the DJ from Berlin, tied to a chair in what looked like a basement. My blood ran cold. Leo's been chatty, Ryan said. Told me about your little visit. Heard him, and you'll wish you'd stayed in L.A., Kane. Elliot's face hardened, but I saw the fear in his eyes. Leo was innocent, caught in Ryan's web because of us. I stepped forward, my voice steady despite the panic. Let Leo go, Ryan. This is between you and us. Ryan tilted his head, amused. Your guts see, Jasper. Fine. One condition. You join my project. Ditch Pulse, star my film. Victor Ruiz is backing it, and he wants you. The offer hit like a slap. Victor Ruiz, the rival producer I'd seen with Carla, was in on this? I glanced at Elliot, his expression a mix of anger and desperation. Jasper don't, he said, his voice low. He's lying. Milo spoke up, his voice cracking. He's not, Jasper. Victor's got money connections. You be set. I told Ryan you'd say yes. Rage surged, and I lunged at Milo, shoving him against a rusty beam. You think you can sell me again? I hissed, my face inches from his. You're pathetic. Ryan's goons moved, but Elliot blocked them, his stance protective. Jasper, back off. We need to focus. I released Milo, my hands shaking. Ryan clapped slowly, mocking. Drama's good for the camera. So, Jasper, my film, or Leo's in trouble. I looked at Elliot, his eyes pleading, then at Milo, his face crumpled with regret. Leo's life hung in the balance, and so did Pulse. I took a breath, my mind racing. Okay, Ryan, I said, my voice calm. I'll do it, but I want Leo freed first. Ryan grinned, but Elliot grabbed my arm. Jasper, no. You can't trust him. I don't. I whispered, leaning close, my lips brushing his ear. Stall him. I've got an idea. Elliot nodded, barely perceptible, and turned to Ryan. Let's see the contract for Jasper's deal. Notrix. As Ryan rummaged for papers, I slipped my phone from my pocket, texting Leo's number. If you're out, call the cops. Meatpacking plant. Now, it was a long shot. Leo might still be captive, but I had to try. I edged toward the laptop, pretending to study the screen, my fingers brushing the keys. Ryan was distracted, arguing with Elliot, and Milo was too busy avoiding my glare. Then it happened. A siren wailed outside, faint but growing louder. Ryan froze, his eyes narrowing. "What did you do?" he snarled, lunging for me. I dodged, my ankle screaming, and slammed the laptop shut, yanking its power cord. "Game's over," I said, backing toward Elliot. The goons advanced, but the sirens were close now, red and blue lights flashing through the plant's grimy windows. Ryan cursed, grabbing Milo's arm. "We're out. This isn't over, Kane." They bolted, disappearing into the plant's shadows. Elliot pulled me close, his breath warm against my neck. "You're insane," he murmured, his voice thick with relief. "And brilliant." The cops stormed in, shouting orders, but Ryan and Milo were gone. They found the laptop, its drive encrypted, and no sign of Leo. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Safe." "Thanks, cutie." Relief flooded me, but it was short-lived. The footage was still out there, and Ryan had vanished with Milo. Back at Elliot's Pilsen loft, we collapsed on a worn leather couch, the city's glow filtering through the windows. "We're not safe yet," I said, my voice hoarse. "Ryan's got Milo, and he's not done." Elliot's hand found mine, his thumb tracing my knuckles. "I know, but tonight, you saved Leo. You saved us." His eyes locked on mine, and the air shifted, charged with something deeper than fear. He leaned in, his lips inches from mine, but I pulled back, my heart racing. "Not yet," I said, standing. "I need to know we're on the same side." He nodded, his gaze steady. "We are, Jasper. I'll prove it." As I left, my phone lit up with a new email from Ryan. No text, just a photo. Milo, gagged and tied, with a note scrawled beside him. "Your move, Jasper. Save him, or he's next." The photo of Milo, gagged and tied, seared itself into my brain as I stood in Elliot's Pilsen loft, the Chicago skyline a blur through the window. Ryan's note, "Your move, Jasper. Save him, or he's next," was a gauntlet thrown at my feet, daring me to act. My hands shook, not from fear but from the weight of everything. Milo's betrayal, Carla's complicity, Ryan's vendetta, and Elliot, whose touch still lingered on my skin, a promise I wasn't sure I could trust. I'm Jasper Cole, a 27-year-old dancer who'd stumbled into a war, and this was the final act. Elliot paced, his hazel eyes stormy. "We can't let Ryan dictate the terms," he said, his voice rough. "Milo's in deep, but we need to end this now." I nodded, my mind racing. The National Dance Tour rehearsals were tomorrow. My ankle barely healed, but Pulse, Elliot's film, was my heart stage, and Ryan was trying to burn it down. Milo, despite everything, didn't deserve to be Ryan's pawn. Where would he take him? I asked. Somewhere he feels safe, somewhere he can control. Elliot stopped, his face hardening. His old office. It's in the Loop, a condemned building he used for off-the-books deals. He thinks no one knows about it. We grabbed our jackets, the weight of the night pressing in. The Loop at 2 a.m. was a ghost town, its skyscrapers looming like silent judges. The building was a crumbling relic, its windows boarded, the air thick with dust and mildew. We slipped inside, guided by the faint glow of a single bulb down a hallway. My ankle throbbed, but I pushed through, Elliot's hand brushing mine, a silent anchor. We found him in a gutted office, Milo tied to a chair, his eyes wide with panic. Ryan stood over him, a USB drive dangling from his fingers like a trophy. His goons were gone. Either he didn't trust them, or he wanted this personal. "You're predictable, Jasper," he sneered, spotting us. "Came to save your ex? Or your director's dirty little film?" "Let him go, Ryan," I said, my voice steady. "This isn't about Milo. It's about you and Elliot." Ryan laughed, tossing the USB drive onto a desk. Oh, it's about all of you. Caleb's footage, your dance, Milo's pathetic loyalty. It's a story the world will eat up, and I'll be the one telling it. Elliot stepped forward, his voice low. You leak that footage and you're done. I've got proof of your embezzlement from L.A. One call to the feds, and you're in cuffs. Ryan's smirk faltered, but he recovered fast. You're bluffing. You got nothing. I saw my chance. Milo's eyes met mine, pleading, and I remembered the nights we'd shared, the love we'd lost to his lies. I didn't know him, but I owed myself the truth. A lunge for the desk, grabbing the USB drive before Ryan could react. He roared, tackling me, and we hit the floor, my ankles screaming. Elliot shouted, pulling Ryan off, but not before I slid the drive into my pocket. Jasper, run! Elliot yelled, wrestling Ryan. I scrambled to Milo, cutting his ropes with a shard of glass from the floor. He gasped, clutching my arm. I'm sorry, he whispered, tears streaming. I didn't want this. Save it, I said, hauling him up. We stumbled toward the exit, but Ryan broke free, a knife glinting in his hand. My heart stopped as he lunged at Elliot, the blade catching the light. No, I shouted, shoving Milo aside and throwing myself at Ryan. The knife grazed my arm, a sharp sting, but I tackled him, pinning him long enough for Elliot to disarm him. Milo, shaking, grabbed a pipe and swung, knocking Ryan out cold. We stood, panting, the silence deafening. Blood trickled down my arm, but I was alive. Elliot rushed to me, his hands cupping my face. You're insane, he said, his voice thick, and I love you for it. The words hit like a spotlight, warm and blinding. I wanted to say it back, to let the heat of his touch consume me, but sirens wailed outside. Leo's call to the cops had worked. We tied Ryan's wrists with his own belt, leaving the USB drive for the police. Milo slumped against the wall, his face a mask of shame. The cops took Ryan, and Milo gave a statement, admitting his role. As dawn broke over Chicago, Elliot and I sat on the steps of the Art Institute, the city waking around us. My arm was bandaged, my ankle iced, but the real ache was deeper. What now? I asked, the USB drive's contents, safe with the police, still haunting me. Now, Elliot said, his hand finding mine, we make pulse. No secrets, no lies. Just you, me, and the truth. I looked at him, his stubble catching the morning light, his eyes promising a future I could almost touch. And us. I asked, my voice soft. He smiled, leaning in, his lips brushing mine in a kiss that tasted of hope and second chances. Us is the best part. The national tour took me across the country, my ankle healing as I danced under new lights. Pulse premiered at Sundance, raw and unflinching, with my story, our story, at its heart. Critics called it a triumph, but the real victory was Elliot beside me, his hand in mine. Milo vanished, starting over somewhere quiet, and Carla resigned, her career a casualty of her choices. Ryan faced charges, his empire crumbling. Reflecting now, I see the lessons carved into me like choreography. Trust is fragile, a dance of give and take, but it's worth the risk when it's real. Love, like art, demands courage to bare your soul, to face the shadows, to choose connection over fear. I learned to listen to my gut, to fight for what matters, and to let go of what doesn't. Milo taught me heartbreak, but Elliot taught me hope. Chicago, with its grit and glow, showed me that every fall is a chance to rise. I'm not the same Jasper who fell on that stage. I'm stronger, braver, and unafraid to love. Life's a stage, and every choice is a step in the dance. I chose to leap, to trust, to create. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done?